On the day before the 4th of July weekend, Rod Sedlecki announced that 9 SRS offices would close, including ones in McPherson, Wellington, and Pratt. About 700 people came out to protest the closing of their local SRS office in Lawrence and other cuts to the social services program.
We are here tonight very explicitly to solicit the feedback from the Douglas County community about what the Lawrence SRS office closure would mean to this community.
I challenge anyone who wants to start from scratch and decide if you're going to locate 33 offices in the state, and you see where the cases are, you see where the people are, who would not put an office in Lawrence, Kansas?
It will be another obstacle. It will be a barrier that's going to come between families of this community and the help that they need to become self-sufficient.
So many of our consumers don't have access to cars. They don't have the money for cars.
The SRS shut it down. We are frustrated. We are beyond bad, and I'm trying to keep languages to a minimum.
Social services are interpersonal relationships. They can't be done. They are people working with people.
My name is Kathleen McGee, and I live in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm 57 years old. I've had leukemia. I didn't find out till I was 38 that I have a congenital heart defect. I have a lesion in my lung. I have fibrosis of the lung. I have a rare blood disease, acute myocardial infarct, or heart attack. I've had 6 strokes that have documented. I was probably going to die within a year. And then SRS came to my rescue and got me in to see the doctors that I needed to see and helped me survive to what I can do today. And I bless them for that.
This isn't just an organization that cuts checks for poor people.
The Lawrence SRS office was incredibly important because of the volume of traffic that it handles.
This is an organization that provides housing, psychological services, job training.
SRS people have kept me connected.
Protection of vulnerable, especially vulnerable people, adults with mental disabilities and physical disabilities.
I need to go to a breast doctor. They get me in. If I need to go to the eye specialist, I get in.
Very young children, very senior citizens, it covers the gamut.
I don't see how the governor could expect people with disabilities like myself to make it financially or physically for very long.
The announcement of the SRS office closing did surprise me.
The announcement definitely did catch me off guard.
The announcements that came took everybody by surprise. We had no advance warning. I mean, we read about it like everybody else.
Absolutely. It was a complete out of the blue.
They'd announced it on a Friday, which is a real trash news day. So if you want to dodge a media cycle, you dump it on a Friday.
And one of the governor's high administrative officials was quoted in the paper as saying, the decision to close the SRS stores in Lawrence was a difficult decision, but it was like being in having a big family and having to choose which child to sacrifice. Now this upset me so much because I knew this was wrong and he needed to be nailed on it.
I want him to know that this is America and this is Kansas, and we don't sacrifice our children, we help them.
The people who were for closing the SRS office give the 4-lane highway talking point.
The plan was, if there was a plan, the plan was for people to get in their cars and drive to Kansas City or drive to Topeka.
I think it shows a real ignorance about the population of people that serve or are served by the SRS office.
I can't travel to Kansas City or Topeka and have my 86-year-old mom drive me.
Public transportation doesn't go to Topeka or Kansas City.
It does not pass the common sense test, and that was apparent from day one.
It was very difficult getting a hold of them. They were very secretive about what was going on, even when it came to meeting with city and county officials.
Just 4 weeks before the announcement was made, he'd actually taken me and a number of other legislators through the office, and never was it mentioned.
But there definitely was a tour with Secretary Sedlecki, at which it's reported he was very complimentary of the offices and gave no indication that there would be any closure or any significant changes.
If you're planning to close an office, I don't know why you would take legislators on a tour of something that you're about ready to close. Pleased that SRS decided that they would allow the office to stay open, provided the city and county come up with some funding, but I hate the precedent that that sets.
I struggled with the idea that we would supply money from our tight budget to solve the state's momentary crisis that it created.
There are certain functions that state government has provided for a long period of time, and one of them is the operation of SRS offices.
You can think of any number of other state services that we depend on here. Are those all going to, be subject to being removed unless we pay for them? It would be like the federal government telling the state of Kansas that they need money for the Army this year, or they're gonna stop providing protection.
The question becomes, where are your state tax dollars going? I think that people in Douglas County have a right to be asking those questions. It's far from over yet.
In 2 years, we'll have to figure out what we do again.
I have a lot of hope that we're going to have continued funding for our SRS office in Lawrence in the future as we move forward. They've agreed to pursue that funding in the coming years.
So it is our expectation that he will make good on that promise to fund this office, not just after 2013, but in 2012 and 2013.
It is at the will of the governor and then at the will of the legislature to approve that expenditure.
So we're hopeful, cautiously optimistic, but the fight really isn't over.
As far as Mr. Sedlecki saying recently, with a gesture of faith, that promising funding from the state in 2 years to keep the SRS open, I think it's a wonderful gesture. It brings hope back to the scene, but because of his track record, I will believe that when I see it.